Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here 24 hours removed from AEW's Double or Nothing to talk about Double or Nothing. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, why didn't you do this review last night? Well, Nick and I were in Vegas for Double or Nothing. I attended the show live, and our hotel room had very, very crappy internet. Like, we uploaded videos last night that we took from the event, and those took, on my normal internet, those would have took about 2 minutes to upload. Each took 3 hours, maybe 2. So, and those were not long videos. The longest one was like 11 minutes. So if we would have done like a 30 to 60 minute podcast, just think how long that would have took to upload. So it just wouldn't have worked for us to get a proper review up last night or early this morning. So now I'm here tonight to talk about it. I've seen the show live in person. I've seen the show on television. I watched it on my 6-hour drive home, so I can give you guys some, insight on what I noticed live, what was on the show, and what we learned after going backstage after the show as well, as far as the media stuff, where we talked with some of the wrestlers, and we learned about, more in depth on Jon Moxley's deal, Cody's weird Triple H beef entrance, Jericho's entrance, and a couple other things. I'll just let some more of you jump in here in the live chat here for a second. See who's with us. We've got Rini Sasori, Jeff Guevara, Gabriel Perez, Joe Decker. We've got Marcus Ryan, Jacob Carroll, Aaron Burrell. So the show's good. Really, really good. Henry McKenna says, when will they reveal the women's title? Right now, they've got one title, and they're going to go with that. They got to crown that champion first, and then they'll bring out more championships. But they don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't want to overpopulate their brand, their organization with championships. So I think once the world champion's crowned, then we'll get either tag team or women's champions. And then once that champion's crowned, then we'll get the other one. So I think that's how it's going to go. No word on if there's going to be a mid-card or a cruiserweight, lightweight title yet. We don't know. And we'll see how that all goes. But as of right now, we know there's going to, we saw the world title. The Bucks basically told us last night after the show that there will be tag titles. And the women are under the impression that there will be a women's championship. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if they announce anything going forward as far as other championships. But like I said, Cody did iterate strongly last night after the show that they don't want a lot of championships. They don't want a lot of title belts. They want belts that matter. And they also want it to where the world title doesn't have to be the main event. If the women's championship match is hotter than the world title match, that can main event. If the tag team title match is more popular, if more people they think want to see that, that can main event. So, they want it to be where it's just like the world title doesn't have to be the end all be all, if that makes any sense. So just looking at the chat before we get going. Tito says, why did DDP appear and why did Bret Hart appear? Well, DDP is really close to Cody, so they just wanted to get him on the show. And Bret Hart, I don't know the reasoning, but they needed some sort of a legend out there to help unveil the new championship. So why not Bret? Why not? Former world champion. I mean, I get Bret. He's a former world champion, and he defended, the WCW world title in that same building. Let me Google that, see if I'm right. Halloween Havoc in the MGM Grand. Did see, I think it would have been maybe in 2000. No. When was it? Maybe I was wrong because Hart said last night he's defended a world title at MGM Grand. But I don't remember what the show was. So, anyways, maybe someone in the chat can help me out with that. Oh, wait, I think I might have found it. Let's see. Sting versus Bret Hart. The MGM Grand World title on the line. Got it. All right. So talking AEW. Yes, Sergio. AEW was the number one. So during Double or Nothing on Twitter, AEW Double or Nothing, the event, was the number one, number three, and I think I could be wrong as far as when it was live, number 5 trending as well, because it was hashtag AEWDON, hashtag Double or Nothing, and then just hashtag AEW. As far as questions go, like, hey, do you think this person will come or this person? Save that to the end, and I'll answer all those after we do the review. If you guys do want to call in, we'll take calls at the end as well. And remember, if you're in the live chat and you want to get your question through, best way to get it through is with a super chat donation because it will be seen for sure. So the show kicked off with a pre-show. Now I got to iterate here. The show was 4 hours long with a 1 hour pre-show. Tony Khan himself, the president of All Elite Wrestling, did state last night, shows this long will not be every month. Shows like this, where it's a 4 hour show with a pre-show, will be quarterly. So they'll be like 4 times a year. There will be other, quote-unquote, smaller pay-per-view shows that run maybe 2 or 3 hours long throughout the year as well, but they don't see the need for a pay-per-view every single month. So there may be a month where we don't get a pay-per-view. There may be a month where it's just straight TV. I know there's going to be some sort of a special event once a month leading up to when they start on TNT in October. So we had the pre-show, or the kickoff show, whatever you want to call it, which was called the Buy-In. On this, there was no Jim Ross on the kickoff show. He did not do the pre-show. The commentary was just Alex Marvez and Excalibur. They did announce during this that SoCal Uncensored versus Stronghearts would be opening the main card. They also announced that the AEW World title will be unveiled in a special presentation later in the night. So we get to the Casino Battle Royale. The winner of this match will move on at a future date to challenge the winner of Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho with the AEW World title on the line. And I thought this was a very, very fun battle royal because it was not just a battle royal, but it was done differently. 5 people started. So what essentially was everybody drew a card out of a deck. If you got a clubs, a spades, you could either get a clubs, a number with the clubs, a number with the spades, hearts, diamonds, or the Joker card. Whatever suit you got put you in a group. Each group came out in groups of 5. First group that came out, I didn't write down. I wrote down who. I've got who, but I don't remember what the suit was. But it was MJF, Dustin Thomas, Sunny Days, Brandon Cutler, and Michael Nakazawa. They booed the crap out of MJF, and I'm going to say it right now. MJF's probably one of the best heels in the business. He's right there with Jericho. I'm going to say it right now. He's probably the best smarmy heel in all of pro wrestling. And you may ask, what's smarmy heel mean? It means a heel that just thinks he's a million times better than everybody and doesn't care about anybody else's opinion. That's MJF, and he's better than anybody. Miz used to do it. Miz used to be like that. But MJF is a million times better than Miz because he plays the role better. And he's better in the ring. Just saying. So, as they're coming down to the ring, crowd boos MJF. Actually, pretty good pop for Brandon Cutler since he has been focused on during episodes of Being the Elite recently. And the fans broke out in a Nakazawa chant. So all those 5 guys fought for a little while before the next group came out. The next group was Brian Pillman Jr., Orange Cassidy, Joey Janela, Jimmy Havoc, and Shawn Spears, a.k.a. the former Ty Dillinger. Crowd broke out in a nice 10 chant for him. So, before they got in the ring, Pillman nailed Cassidy with a super kick on the ramp. Janela and Havoc jumped Pillman before he could enter the ring. They gave him a double suplex on the floor. Spears got a huge reaction like I stated, and then MJF poked Spears in the eye and flipped him off. They're building up I think, Shawn Spears versus MJF feud maybe, but I can't confirm. Per Shawn Spears, he did state last night after the show he has not been offered a contract by All Elite Wrestling. He said that when he showed up at the building, the MGM Grand, he was welcomed like any member of the roster would be welcomed, but he has been not officially offered a contract. So, in case people were wondering. Because they did start building up an MJF Shawn Spears thing recently on Being the Elite, where Cody did a backflip into the pool at his house. MJF told him that was a perfect 10. And then he said, "Fuck you, Shawn Spears." So next out, we got a Billy Gunn, Glacier, Jungle Boy, who got a pretty good pop, Ace Ramiro, and Mark Queen of Private Party. Glacier and MJF faced off for a little while. Glacier got the better of the exchange. Sunny Days threw Nakazawa out of the ring, first eliminated. Glacier eliminated Days. MJF then threw out Glacier. Janela lit a cigarette. Havoc used a staple gun and stapled the cigarette to Janela's forehead. I don't even know why these men think that that's smart. So then next out, we got Sunny Kiss, Marco Stunt, who actually got a pretty good reaction from the crowd. Marco Stunt was over all weekend. Anytime he was anywhere, everyone was like, Marco. Like everybody wanted to be around Marco at StarCast, at either the StarCast events, because there was 2 StarCast locations, and wherever Marco was, you every time I see Marco, there's people, Marco. That guy's a popular feller. So it was Marco Stunt, Tommy Dreamer, and the Luchasaurus. Ace Romero hit a suicide dive, taking out Dreamer, Kiss, Luchasaurus. Dreamer then went to the back, brought out a trash can, and ran wild with it. Luchasaurus gave Private Party double choke slams. So going forward, we then learned who the Joker was, who the final entrant in this Battle Royal was, and it was, of course, Hangman Adam Page. Page came out and sold the knee, because if you remember, they did a deal on Being the Elite where he said that he couldn't wrestle because his knee was injured. So, he sold the knee very well the entire time he was out there. Came down, crowd went bonkers, bananas when Page came out. So he comes down, he ran wild, attacking everybody in the ring. Page rocked Janela with a clothesline and a dead eye. Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt tried to team up against Ace Romero. Stunt caught Romero with a kick. Romero then hit Stunt. Romero hit Stunt with a pounce that literally threw Stunt over the top rope, eliminating him out of the Battle Royal. Jungle Boy then caught Romero with a drop kick to the back and tossed him out. Thomas gave Janela a 619 and followed it up with a 450 splash. MJF then attacked Dustin Thomas from behind and placed him on the top turnbuckle. Dustin Thomas then eliminated Spears. MJF dumped out Thomas. Brandon Cutler tossed out Billy Gunn, but then MJF tossed out Brandon Cutler. Going forward, Luchasaurus actually got some good offense in this match as he choke slammed Joey Janela through a table on the floor. And when Joey Janela is getting thrown over this top rope, you hear Penelope Ford, her scream was like a, "Oh my God, I hope you're alive" scream. Like, ah! Like it looked scary. When watching it from my seat, it was just like, oh, he got thrown through the table. Because we couldn't see the table from where I was sitting. But when they showed the replay on the screen, And you could see that it wasn't like a WWE easy breakaway table. These tables did not want to break easily at first. And the way he folded up, landing on the back of his neck, that was rough. I want to bring something up with the chat really fast. Dirty Dan says, what happened to Marty Scurll? He's still under contract to Ring of Honor. That's what happened. So going forward, Tommy Dreamer then got a face full of Sonny Kiss's booty and then tossed out Sonny Kiss. Orange Cassidy, the slowest man that ever lived, then entered the ring, and he called them kicks. He says they're kicks. They're more like love taps to Tommy Dreamer. Attacked to Dreamer, and they threw him out. I'm not a big Orange Cassidy fan myself. I don't think it's funny. Just my opinion. Going forward, Jimmy Havoc used a staple gun on Tommy Dreamer. Oh, no, Tommy Dreamer eliminated Orange Cassidy. My bad. Then, Jimmy Havoc used a staple gun on Dreamer and tossed him out. Havoc then threw out Jungle Boy. Final four were MJF, Havoc, Luchasaurus, and Adam Page. Cody did state, I think it was Cody. No, it was Tony Khan. Stated after the show that those final four were the final four for a reason. They're not just going to have a random anybody at the he stated that he didn't want just randomly anybody at the end of that battle royal. He wanted it to be guys that he wants to do things with. So I guess maybe that would mean that they're going to sign Luchasaurus. I mean, as of yesterday, he wasn't on the roster page. So I don't know if Luchasaurus is signed to the company or not, but he can be a pretty good star for them with his size and stuff and his gimmick. Because he's not like overly gimmicky. It's more of just the mask. But he's really solid and crisp in the ring. So all the baby faces teamed up and tried to take out MJF. What you thought. So I didn't like this. I think WWE does this better. When somebody gets thrown out of the ring or slides out of the ring, you forget about it. You don't remember that they weren't really eliminated. But we all knew that MJF got thrown out, but he wasn't eliminated because he went under the bottom ropes. So everybody else is fighting, and Havoc hit a rolling Death Valley driver on Page. Page threw out Havoc. He then landed on the apron. Luchasaurus then eliminated, he tried to throw out Havoc, but that didn't happen. He landed on the apron. Luchasaurus then eliminated Havoc with a big boot. Page then threw out Luchasaurus, and as soon as Page throws out Luchasaurus, they play his music. And everybody's sitting around me is like, we know the match isn't over. Because MJF, he was never thrown out. And when they did it, it was 3 baby faces on 1 heel. And we never saw him go over the top rope, so it was very obvious that he had not been eliminated. Well, he runs in the ring after Page thinks he had won. Page was celebrating, but MJF was still in it. MJF tried to throw out Page, but he held on. Page then hit the buckshot clothesline and threw out MJF to win and become the first #1 contender for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I think this was a good move. It does make me think of something, though. My question is, so leading up to this show, they had been stating that the winner of the Battle Royal would get a shot at the, and I quote, newly crowned AEW World Champion. Then they stated, no, the winner of this match will be in the first world title match against the winner of Jericho and Omega. So that leads me to believe, I don't know this for certain, but that does lead me to believe that Jericho and Omega was always supposed to be a #1 contender match, and that Page and Pac would have also possibly been a #1 contender match with Adam Page going over. So that's just something that I thought of. Didn't get to ask about that last night as we didn't get a lot of time during the Q&As and the interviews after the show. But that's just an assumption that I did have based off of what did take place. So going forward, in the back, Alicia Tout, or as she stated, Alicia A, interviewed Kylie Ray, and I didn't like this. Some people thought it was funny. I didn't like this. Kylie Ray was too over the top. Even if she wasn't scripted, she seemed way too over scripted. And so she's talking. She's like, hi, hey, tonight I'm going to be at a great match. It's going to be so fun. And then all of a sudden Peter Avalon comes and he's like, shh, I am the librarian and you're being too loud. And then Leva Bates shows up and shh, I am the librarian. And then they get in a shush off. And they shush each other. And they shush each other. And Kylie Ray's thinking that it's funny. And she's hee, giggling. And then all of a sudden she goes, then she's got a look on her face like, this just got awkward. While they're still shushing each other. I didn't like this at all. It was too much comedy. It was too much of a Being the Elite segment. And I'm not saying Being the Elite is bad, but you can't go too over the top anymore, especially once they get on TNT. Especially when they did say that they want more sports feel. You don't see people shushing each other on freaking College Game Day and stuff. Anyways, wasn't my cup of tea. So then we got the second and final match on the buy-in. It was Kip Sabian versus Sammy Guevara. This was a good pre-show match. It featured lots of fast-paced actions. The commentators pushed that wins and losses really do matter here. They started with some mat wrestling. The crowd was kind of into this at the beginning, but not really. But the farther into the match that they got, the more the crowd got into it, until at the end they were really, really into it. They quickened the pace over time, and Sabian got Guevara with a Hurricane Run at one point. Guevara fought back and caught Sabian with a drop kick. Sabian faked a drop kick and sent Guevara to the floor. Sabian then hit a dive off the second rope to the floor. He threw Guevara back into the ring. Guevara quickly hit a dive to gain control. Guevara caught Sabian with a power slam. Guevara went for a moonsault, but Sabian moved out of the way, and he landed on his feet, and then he went for a standing moonsault, but Sabian moved yet again. Guevara then did hit a standing shooting star press for a near fall. Later on, Guevara hit a suplex on the floor that looked very hard. Then in a crazy spot, Guevara placed Sabian's stomach first on the guardrail. So if you remember back in the day, RVD would put his opponent on the guardrail, stomach down. And then he would jump off the apron. Sometimes he'd do a 360 leg drop. Sometimes he'd do just a regular leg drop. Well, instead of doing a leg drop, freaking Sammy Guevara off of the apron does a shooting star press onto his opponent. And back into the ring, though, Guevara then went for a 630 splash, but Sabian got his knees up, hit his finisher, and pinned Sammy Guevara. So, after this match, they finish up the buy-in. At the very end of the buy-in, we hear Jim Ross's music play, and on the big screen, we see Jim Ross walking in the back, and everybody in the building thought Jim Ross was going to come out onto the stage. But he didn't. He just disappeared. What we didn't know at the time, because there was no announce table around the ring, but what we didn't know being there live was that next to, picture you're looking at the stage. You're looking at it from the ring. Then look up and to the left. That's where the announce table was. But it was very dark over there for most of the time, so you wouldn't have maybe not even known it was there. So it was cool that they showed Jim Ross and acknowledged him at the end of the buy-in, but the fans really did want to see him come out on the stage or something. But then we did get Cody showing up to the building, him and Brandy and Pharaoh, who we saw Pharaoh in this little video thing, but we never saw Pharaoh again. In the back, Kenny Omega was on his computer. He then gave the camera a thumbs up and walked off. Matt Jackson was then walking in the back and stops and says, "Oh, hi." And you can kind of see who the guy was, but you couldn't. And he's like, "I'm Michael." And Matt goes, well, nice to finally meet you. And he goes to walk off, and he stops him and goes, Michael Nakazawa. And Michael Nakazawa walks off, and Matt Jackson's just like, Michael Nakazawa. Then he runs into his brother, Nick Jackson. Some guy tried to provide them with credentials, and they're like, wait, we don't need credentials. Why would we need credentials? So they double super kicked the guy. And then they said, let's just go start the show. So they played the Being the Elite intro. Omega, Cody, Brandy, and the Young Bucks all came out. They all wanted to say, welcome. But as Cody was about to say, welcome to the show, Mike was ripped out of his hand by Matt. Matt's like, welcome to... And then Nick ripped the mic. He's like, I want to do it. And he's like, what? And Kenny rips the mic out of Nick's hand and in a clever way goes, no. It's my turn to do this because you guys left me out of the intro at All In. Which I like that. I like that. It was clever. So he welcomed everybody. Fans broke out in a big AEW chant. They made fun of WWE for inflating their attendance numbers. Matt stated that there were 20,000 people in attendance. Cody took the mic and goes, this place only fits about 13. And Matt said, hey, it's wrestling. You always inflate the numbers. Cody then was like, okay, cool. Let's just say 20,000 then. Why not? Then the main show began. Sorry for that. If you guys can hear that, there's a dog outside my house right now barking. So Jim Ross joined Alex Marvez and Excalibur on commentary. Ross mentioned that the AEW World Championship will be presented tonight, which I didn't like them calling it a presentation, because a presentation insinuates that you're going to award it to the champion. It should have been an unveiling. That's what I would have called it, but they also promised some shocking news, which at the time, we didn't know what that shocking news was, but I guess the shocking news that JR was referencing to, I guess, had to be Moxley. So in a great opener, I think SCU are perfect openers. It was SCU versus Strongheart. SCU, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky. Strongheart was Chima, T-Hawk, and El Lindaman. I mean, like I said, this was a great pay-per-view opener. Fans broke out in a huge SCU chant early. Scorpio Sky got on the mic and said that this is the worst city they've ever been in, but it's probably their favorite worst city. Daniel said that All Elite Era starts tonight. They announced that in AEW, teams have a 10 count to get out of the ring instead of a 5 count. So in WWE, when you tag, the referee goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the person that tagged out doesn't get out of the ring, it can be a DQ. Well, in AEW, it's a 10 count. So Chima basically asked Daniels to start the match off against him, the two most experienced guys in the match. They traded arm drags until they both went for one at the same time. Kazarian then rocked T-Hawk with a hard clothesline. T-Hawk fought back with a vicious chop. Scorpio Sky made a blind tag and caught T-Hawk with a perfect-looking dropkick. SCU then isolated Lindaman, the least experienced person in this match, on their side of the ring. Eventually, Stronghearts were able to take over, and they isolated Daniels on their side of the ring. Chima and T-Hawk used double drop kicks on Daniels. The fans then broke out in dueling Let's Go Strongheart SCU chants. It was more like, Let's Go Strongheart SCU! Let's Go Stronghearts SCU! Very, very cool. So Sky then got the tag and quickened up the pace. Stronghearts used a series of moves on Scorpio Sky, which ended with a German suplex by Lindaman. And Lindaman has one of those stiff, hard-looking Germans. Great. So a little bit later in the match, Lindaman tagged himself in. Daniels hit an Angel's Wings on T-Hawk, but Lindaman picked him up in a German suplex for a 2 count. Kazarian then hit a Hurricane Rana from the apron to the floor. Scorpio Sky followed up with a huge dive to the outside, and then the finish came when Kazarian and Daniels hit the best Meltzer ever on Lindaman for the victory. Great match. I would have had Stronghearts go over just to establish the OWE guys and say, hey, we're working with these guys going forward. They're going to be on a lot of our shows or a good number of our shows, and I would have put them over. I don't know if because wins and losses do matter, And they are going to have a ranking system eventually. Maybe that just doesn't work into their ranking system. And talking about the ranking system, the Young Bucks were asked after the show how the ranking system's going to work and if the wins and losses from Double or Nothing will count in that ranking system. They also were asked if a Battle Royal loss, if you don't win a Battle Royal, does that count as a loss? So Nick Jackson stated that they're still figuring out exactly how they want their ranking system to work, but Tony Khan's got like 3 or 4 ideas already. They stated that if it was up to them, which it's not only up to them, but if it was up to them, if you lose in a Battle Royal, it shouldn't count against you. So, we'll see. Again, they stated that their quote-unquote, I just said it, now I'm all of a sudden up for a loss of words. Ranking system. The ranking system's not in place yet because they haven't finalized how they actually want it to be presented and how they want it to work. Because I mean, you could just do the whole wins and loss ratio thing, or 3 wins, or you win, you all of a sudden get bumped up in the rankings for your division. And we don't know if they have different divisions outside of men's, women's tags. So, again, another thing that isn't firmly set yet. So then the next match we did get was supposed to be just a triple threat match with Kylie Ray, Nyla Rose, and Britt Baker. So as all 3 women are in the ring, Brandy's music hits. And Brandy's wearing gear. So a lot of people were like, oh, Brandy's going to enter herself into this ring, or into this match. And Brandy goes, now, I never lied to any of you women when I said that any of you have a chance to win. Have a chance to make this match great. But I don't want just a great match. I want an awesome match. And as soon as she said that, I knew it was happening. She said, I want an awesome match. And now, this is a fatal 4-way as we are adding Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong came out and this place went unglued. This place went unglued a lot. It was a very heavy, I'm going to really pop for everything. But at the same time, we know who to boo kind of crowd. College Slam. No, Sasha Banks cannot be coming to AEW because she still has at least 2 years left on her WWE contract. She's not been released, and she's not gonna be released. So, Awesome Kong comes down. Again, huge reaction. Great match between all 4 women. The crowd in the building, super Kylie Ray crowd. Everything she did, they were like, yes. Like, everything. They wanted Kylie Ray to win this match. So, Kong and Nyla Rose squared off in the middle of the ring. Kylie Ray and Britt Baker attacked both women. Kong was firmly in control. Kong then got sent to the floor. This left Baker and Ray in the ring alone. Baker rolled up Kylie Ray for a close near fall. Baker attempted a crossbody off the apron, but Kong caught her. Kylie Ray then hit a suicide dive on both women, taking them out. Nyla Rose then used a slam and a standing leg drop for a near fall. Ray escaped a chokeslam attempt, but Rose caught her with a spinebuster instead. Rose attempted a powerbomb on Kylie Ray, but she rolled through. Britt Baker then broke up a pin attempt. A little bit later, Nyla Rose charged at Kong and sent her into the steps. Ray attempted a German suplex, but Britt Baker fought back. Baker rocked Ray with a forearm and a very close near fall. Kylie Ray then hit a German suplex for another close near fall. Baker then caught Ray with a super kick and Adam Cole's old finisher for the victory. She did state after the show, when we did the interview stuff, that she's grateful that she got the victory. She was asked if she believes that maybe she's the quote-unquote uncrowned women's champion, and she said no. She said, I won tonight. That doesn't mean I need to be handed anything. If I'm going to get a shot at a future women's title match, or she said, if I am to be a future women's champion, I want to earn it in an actual women's championship match. Not, oh, hey, I won a match, they're just going to give me the belt. That's not what Britt Baker wants. She wants a proper women's title match that she can go out there and actually win with the title on the line, which, credit, God gave her props for that one. Because some people would just be like, I won the first women's match. Give me the belt. No, she's like, I won. I've got momentum. Now let's set up an actual title match. No, I like that a lot. So going forward, we had the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, taking on the team of Angelico and Jack Evans. This is exactly what you thought it was going to be, but better. Best friends were firmly in control early. They went for a hug, but Angelico and Evans broke it up. Fans booed them for stopping the hug. Angelico and Evans then used a back suplex double foot stomp combo. In a cool spot, Angelico flipped Evans into a standing shooting star press for a near fall. This match did get the first "This is awesome" chant. Angelico and Evans isolated Beretta on their side of the ring. Beretta fought back and caught Evans with a clothesline. Chuck Taylor then got the hot tag and cut him off. Taylor fought back and hit the Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Taylor hit a standing sliced bread on Angelico onto the floor. Taylor hit a double foot stomp on Evans for a 2 count. Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta finally got to hug it out in the middle of the ring, and the crowd went just crazy. They loved the best friends. But by the end, they also loved Angelico and Jack Evans. So going off forward, Angelico placed Beretta on his back. Evans then jumped off Beretta's back onto Taylor to the floor. Angelico then gave Beretta a running crucifix bomb in the corner. Evans then hit a 630, but Taylor broke up the pin at the very last second. The fans then broke out in AEW chants. Angelico missed a dive to the floor. Taylor followed it up with his own dive. The finish came when the best friends hit the Crusher Stomp combo for the victory. After the match, the best friends hugged. Well, they were asking Angelico and Jack Evans for a hug. And as they were all going to hug, the lights go out. Lights come back on, and the Super Smash Bros., who nobody inside the building knew who they were, and I don't even think the announcers knew who they were because they did not mention it. So they attack the 4 guys in the ring, and then the lights go out again. And it was funny because in the building, when the lights go out the first time, it was like, what's going on? The lights come back on, they're out there. You didn't see anything. When the lights go out the second time, you then see like 10 guys or however many of them henchmen just start running from the side of the stage. And we're like, why is there so many guys running to the ring? Lights go back on, and there's all these henchmen. They help the Super Smash Bros. Take out these 2 teams, and then they stand tall. So I don't know what that means, but I guess it does mean that the Super Smash Bros. Are now part of AEW. I had only seen the Super Smash Bros. Once before when they had a tag team match in Ring of Honor against the Young Bucks a couple years back. So going forward, we had a 6-woman tag team match. Hikaru Shida, Raiho, and Ryo taking on the team of Aja Kong, Yuki Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura. Great match here. Great match. Aja Kong was used properly. You know, she's older. I don't know exactly how old she is, but she's older. She's not as fast as all these other girls, but they used her power and her strength, as a plus. This match did get a woman's wrestling chant at one point after Sakura rocked Raiho and tossed her across the ring. Aja Kong rocked Raiho with a stiff kick to the back. She followed it up with an elbow drop for a near fall. Kong then hit a huge pile driver on Riho for another near fall. Riho rolled up Sakura after she got I'm going to butcher these names. Sakazaki, and hit a foot stomp. Ryo, not to be confused with Riho, Ryo then got a hot tag and ran wild on Aja Kong. So a little later in the match, Shida and Sakura traded very stiff shots in the middle of the ring. Aja Kong then gave Riho and Ryo a double suplex. Sakazaki hit a huge crossbody to the floor, taking them both out. Sakura then hit a moonsault on Shida for a very close near fall. And then the bell rings. It was not a 3. The ref counted 1, 2, 3.5. Or 2.5. And then you hear ding, ding, ding. And everyone pauses for a minute in the ring and in the building because it goes quiet. And then they just go on. Kong then missed a back fist and Shida hit it on Shida and then hit Sakura. Finish then came when Shida hit the Shining Wizard for the victory. And then the crowd goes on to chant, "You fucked up." I don't know what the problem here was. I don't know why the timekeeper would have rang the bell before getting the signal from the actual referee. I don't know if maybe when the ref's hand went down for that 2.5, 2 3/4, the timekeeper thought it hit. So they were just like, that was a 3, ring the bell. Instead of, that was a 3, wait for the signal from the ref and then ring the bell. So I don't know where the botch comes from. I guess you can put it on the timekeeper because even the referee, I can't remember her name. She's a really good referee out of Defy in Seattle, Washington. But, I mean, even her, when the bell rang, ding, 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 she kind of was like, I didn't count 3. So, Ace Production says, who's the timekeeper? Justin Roberts? No. Justin Roberts is the ring announcer, not the timekeeper. So, then going forward, Magic BK, you have been manned. Forever. Bye-bye. Goodbye, sir. So, we then got probably the best match of the night. My favorite match of the night. Yes, Fonzie. Her name's Aubrey Edwards. Thank you. I knew her last name was Edwards, but I didn't know the first name, so I didn't want to say it. But yes, Aubrey Edwards. So, best match of the night had to be Cody versus Dustin. This match was great. A little weird with the post-match. So, before the match starts, though, they do the opening video package, and the lights go out. There was this, if you saw the stage, there was this chandelier thing between the two video screens the whole night for the stage. And when the lights go out, it lowers. The lights come back on. Cody's music hits. And it's raising back up to reveal a throne. And the first thing I thought when I saw that throne, I go, why the hell do they have a Triple H throne? It had the Triple H symbol. It had the King of Kings skulls on it. And so Cody and Brandy come out. And Brandy kind of like, hey, look. What is this doing here? So Brandy walks down and grabs a sledgehammer from out from under the ring. Gives it to Cody. Cody walks up to the throne. He smashes the throne. Pyrotechnics go off. And the throne breaks. Well, according to Cody, after the show and the post-show interviews, he literally stated that him doing that in an entrance was a dream of his. He had a dream of doing that. Having a Triple H WrestleMania 30-esque throne and him smashing it. Just saying. That's what he said. He had a dream about that. So, he comes out. Gets a good reaction because he's Cody. Dustin comes out. Gets an even bigger reaction. So, the match was just amazing. There was emotion, there was intensity, there was story, and I loved this match. This was my favorite match of the night. So Dustin had half his face painted. The fans broke out in a Dusty chant before the bell rang. Fans then broke out into "This is awesome" chant before they even did anything, which I'm not a big fan of that. Like, if there's a cool spot or the match has just been really good, then you can do a "This is awesome" chant. But there's no need for a "This is awesome" chant before anything even happens. So going forward, where was I? Cody had the early advantage and did his old Stardust pose, as you see here on the screen in one of the images of a picture that I was able to take. He would then... Where was I? Oh, Cody then caught Dustin with a suicide dive. Dustin, though, fought back and hit a flipping senton off of the apron to the floor. Crowd chanted, "You still got it." Dustin then was firmly in control when Cody slipped out of the ring. For some weird reason, Cody jumps the barricade, found a bottle of water, took a drink, and then got back. And I was like, what? Now, we learned why that happened going forward, because he gave the bottle of water to Brandy. Cody was super heel in this match. Like, he did everything a heel was supposed to do. So Cody then gets back into the ring and he distracts the ref. Keep in mind the referee is Earl Hebner. And with Dustin downed, Brandy hits him with the bottle. Cody then took over and slowed down the pace. He caught Dustin with a power slam for a near fall. Dustin fired up and fought back. Cody missed a charge into the corner, though. He then set Cody up for the Shattered Dreams, and the crowd was like, they wanted to see Cody get kicked in the nuts. And so Earl Hebner's, trying to, don't do it. Don't kick him in the balls. Don't do it. Don't do it. And so as Earl Hebner's trying to stop him, Cody takes the turnbuckle pad off and throws it at Dustin. So as he throws it at Dustin then goes, you know what? This turnbuckle pad, I'm going to throw it into the crowd. He throws it into the crowd. One lucky fan actually is going home with a turnbuckle pad used at the first ever AEW event. Just think about how much money that thing could be worth in the next 5 to 10 years. Think about how much money that turnbuckle pad could be worth. So Dustin goes to run at Cody. Cody hits him with a drop toe hold. Dustin goes face first into the exposed turnbuckle. And then Brandy hits him in the face with the end of Cody's cane. This is where he gets busted open. Now, we don't know. Well, we may know. So at first I thought maybe he got busted open, Dustin that is, when he hit the exposed turnbuckle. But Dustin said that he got busted open. This was funny. In the post show stuff, someone goes, well, do you know exactly what spot you got busted open in? And he was like, first off, we're not just doing spots in our match. He's like, but what happened was Cody's cane has, the dog head, the wolf head or whatever it is on the end of it. And Brandy hit me in the head with it and busted me open. He goes, I know she's never liked me anyway, so I thought that was funny. So Cody would regain control here. And Dustin is just busted open. And Earl Hebner trying to kick out Brandy. And Brandy's like, no. And he's like, get out of here. And she's fighting him on it. And he's like, get out of here. So DDP comes down. And he's like, this ain't going to happen like this. And he grabs Brandy, throws Brandy over his shoulder, and takes her to the back. So again, Dustin's just gushing blood. Like, it's just blood all over him, blood all over Cody, blood all over the ring. And it's just like, wow. This match, it just bumped up the intensity by like 20. So the story of this match was that Dustin can't see because of all the blood, which this was supposed to be a planned spot, but want this bad. Dustin fought back and hit a power slam for a close near fall. Cody regained control and locked Dustin into a figure four. Dustin reversed the hold, but then they fell into the ropes. Cody took off his weight belt but Dustin sent him into the corner. He pulled down Cody's tights and spanked him with his own belt. Dustin then hit a Canadian Destroyer for a very close near fall. Fans then broke out in a loud AEW chant here as Dustin hit a superplex and the crossroads for another close near fall. Fans popped big for Dustin doing the crossroads. Dustin then set up for another crossroads, but Cody used a low blow and hit a crossroads of his own for a 2. Dustin made a comeback and hit a second crossroads for a close near fall. They then collided in the middle of the ring, and the finish came when Cody finally hit another crossroads on Dustin for the victory. So Cody immediately gets out of the ring. And Joe Decker, I mentioned that already, and I have an image of that on the screen, mocking the Stardust pose. He did that very, very early on in the match. So Cody gets out of the ring. Crowd's chanting, "Thank you, Dustin," and he starts to take his boots off. He's untying his one boot. Cody grabs the mic and jumps in the ring and goes, "No, no, 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 no. I am not going to allow you to retire right here." Cody goes from working the entire match as the biggest heel in the company, like the way he had his wife helping him and this and that, and all of a sudden, he's babyface little bro. He goes, "You're not going to retire here." So our show in Jacksonville, he says, "I put my name down for a match. It's me and an opponent, or me and a partner against the Young Bucks. And I don't just need a partner." And Cody starts to choke up and cry. He goes, I need my older brother." Crowd popped for that. They then started chanting "Dust for Dusty." Both men were crying at this point. And then they hugged. So it looks like at Fight for the Fallen, it will be Dustin and Cody against Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. And speaking of the Young Bucks, their match was next. Well, actually, first we had the AEW World Championship presentation. So Bret Hart actually came out with the belt. I don't know if this was supposed to be another rib on WWE for having a legend do a belt presentation. Because Cody did say that he felt bad for Mick Foley having to unveil or reveal the 24/7 title. And so, shifting gears here just for a second. Friday night, StarCast had an event with Ron Funches and X-Pac called Get High and Watch Wrestling. And Ron Funches did a small little stand-up thing before the match. And he said something along the lines of, "I don't like it when my wrestling company, or my favorite wrestling," or no, he didn't say favorite. He goes, "I don't like it when I'm watching wrestling and they unveil a new championship belt and it's just a hubcap." Speaking of the 24/7 title, it was pretty funny. So Bret Hart comes out to do this presentation and he says, well, first off, we need the man that will face either Hangman Page or the man that will face either Chris Jericho or Kenny Omega, Hangman Page. He kind of messed up where he goes, Hangman will face the winner of Jericho or Omega next month or in a couple of months. I don't really know. And so Hangman comes out, and before he could say anything, MJF comes out. And this is when I was like, I've always liked MJF, but now I love MJF, and he could be the biggest heel in all of professional wrestling right now, bigger than Jericho. So he comes out, and at first he's on the ramp, and he's like, you shouldn't have won. I should have been the winner of that battle royal. And he goes, wait, Bret, watch out, a fan. He's trying to get into the ring. He's gonna get. And Bret was unamused, making fun of when Bret Hart got attacked by a fan at the Hall of Fame ceremony. He went on to say that the fans are jealous of him and he's the future of AEW. He feels that Page got a fluke victory earlier in the night and should just give him the title shot instead. Just hand it over. He then said, because I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there... No, I don't need that shitty catchphrase. MJF then started to leave when Jungle Boy appeared. Jungle Boy would come out. MJF said that he didn't have time for Jungle Boy and started to walk away. Suddenly, Jimmy Havoc's music would hit. They kind of messed up here a little bit. For if you were in the building, you noticed that Jungle Boy comes out. And then when Jungle Boy right before Jungle Boy, or the whole, when Joey Janela says, I don't have time for you, Jimmy Havoc's graphics flashed on the screen really fast, and they cut them off really quick. I didn't notice a Jungle Boy graphics, though. But then the music of Jimmy Havoc does end up hitting. Small little... Matt Jackson said that they did notice small little production things that they're going to address and fix before the next show. I mean, it was their first thing. There's going to be a couple hiccups. And there was nothing other than the timekeeper thing in the woman six man or woman six woman. There really wasn't many big mistakes that were noticeable. So Jimmy Havoc comes out. And so you've got Paige in the ring watching as Jungle Boy and Jimmy Havoc are staring down MJF. So they all start to beat on MJF. Paige joins in. They start fighting in the crowd. Havoc and Jungle Boy follow him through the crowd. Back in the ring, Hart held up the AEW Championship, got a good pop, and the fans broke out an AEW chant. I think the belt looks okay. It's very over-jeweled, in my opinion. But maybe we can get some better photos of it. I didn't get to see. I saw one good photo of it, but live, basically Bret Hart was spinning in a circle so fast that I couldn't see it. But then we got the AAA World Tag Team Championship match. What did Justin Roberts call it? The AAA World Tag Team Championship match. Now we already know, before this match even took place, we've known for 2 weeks now, I think it is, that they're doing this match again in AAA. AAA's big summer show. But this was a tag team match for all the marbles. And the thing here is, the last time at All In, the Young Bucks didn't get their time. What they wanted to do got cut short because they were, strapped for time. But this time, and Cody was asked about it, and the Bucks were both asked about it. They said, everybody got time, right? And they were like, yeah, we got time. And we were able to do what we wanted in this match. And this match was great. So, before the match started, they all got in each other's faces. Nick and Phoenix had an awesome exchange early on the floor. The Lucha Bros rocked Matt with a double super kick to the head. Pentagon and Phoenix then hit a splash for a near fall. Matt then press slammed Phoenix and hit a spear on Pentagon. Nick accidentally hit Matt in the back, though. Nick caught Pentagon with a Hurricane Rana and caught Phoenix with a super kick. Pentagon then set Matt into the corner. Nick missed a dropkick attempt to Pentagon and instead hit his brother Matt. In a crazy spot, Phoenix dropkicked Nick on the top rope and then ran the ropes using Matt and caught Nick in a Hurricane Rana for a near fall and arm drag to Matt. Followed it up with a nice cutter for a near fall. Matt then fought back and hit a flipping stunner. Matt then hit 3 rolling Northern Lights suplexes. He then hit another Northern Lights suplex. Well, the first 3 on Phoenix. Then he hit another one on Pentagon. Then he put Phoenix in a sharpshooter, but Pentagon broke it up. Nick then caught Phoenix in a slingshot facebuster and nailed a moonsault off the apron onto a Pentagon on the floor. Nick then hit a running bulldog clothesline combo on the Lucha Bros. Excuse me. Matt and Nick then both locked on sharpshooters on Phoenix and Pentagon. They both did make it to the ropes, though. The Bucks then hit a running powerbomb enziguri combo. They followed up with a power slam sliced bread combo for a near fall, and that was actually a callback to Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Why couldn't I not think of his name? The Motor City Machine Guns. It was kind of like a callback tribute thing, as they said that the Motor City Machine Guns influenced them and actually helped them, when they were in TNA early on, they had a lot of good matches with the Motor City Machine Guns and helped put them on the map as far as, look at what these guys can do. So going forward, Nick sent Phoenix onto the apron. Pentagon then leaped off of Phoenix's back and caught Matt with a Canadian Destroyer on the apron. Then Phoenix hit a Canadian Destroyer on Nick in the ring. Again, being there live from our angle, the Phoenix Canadian Destroyer to Matt on the apron did look a lot more brutal live because we're looking at it. Literally, I was looking at it like if I was under the hard cam. So you're looking at it, and he does a Canadian Destroyer, and it looks like he just hits hard. But when you see it on TV, the way the camera is angled, you see that Matt's head is nowhere near the apron. So it's just kind of like, oh, that was, I guess, kind of cool. And also, because there was a lot of apron stuff in this match, I did notice that it looked like the apron of the ring, between the very edge of the ring and where the ropes are, that's considered the apron, was a little wider than I noticed in normal rings. So in another crazy spot, Phoenix hit a dive off of a Pentagon to the floor. Phoenix then hit a Swanton bomb on Nick in the ring for a near fall. Phoenix leaped off the top, but the Bucks caught him with doubled super kicks. In another big spot, Matt gave a Phoenix a brain buster off the top turnbuckle. Okay, I don't know who these people in the chat think they are. Anyways. Going forward, the Bucks then hit more bang for your buck, but only got a 2 count. Bucks then hit an assisted package pile driver for a near fall. They attempted a Meltzer driver, but Phoenix broke it up. Pentagon snapped Matt's arm and hit the Pentagon driver for a near fall. Phoenix charged at Matt, but caught him in a tombstone. Matt then held him up with only one arm. Hit the Meltzer. 1, 2, 3. Retaining the AAA tag titles. So I don't know if maybe the Lucha Bros win them back in AAA over the summer, or if the Bucks keep them. Again, just like Britt Baker was asked, she won the women's women's 4-way. So they're like, you think you're the uncrowned women's champion? The Bucks were asked the same thing. They're like, hey, you guys beat the Lucha Bros, one of the best tag teams in the world. Should that just automatically give you the tag titles? And they're like, well, first off, tag titles have not been established in this company yet. And second, no, we would have to earn them properly. Which I like that answer. Then we got our main event. Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. The New Japan match, I'm going to say, was better. So, Chris Jericho's entrance. So, on the screen it flashes Lion Tamer, because that was one of his first gimmicks, his first nicknames. And you see something that resembles like him dressed as the Lion Tamer gimmick. Lights go out. All of a sudden, it says Jericho on the screen. You see somebody holding a list. It's supposed to look like the list of Jericho. Lights go out. All of a sudden, you see the light up Jericho jacket. Finally, lights go out. Jericho himself appears on the stage. That was all done by Cody. That was all Cody's idea for that entrance, which is pretty cool. But, fortunately, as we had stated, it looked like he may be using the Lionheart nickname. He's not using the Lionheart nickname after all. It was just something they were doing for the entrance. Joe Decker, yes, I was directly on the other side of the arena from where Moxley came down. So literally where he came down through the crowd, I was staring directly at. And we'll get to that when it comes here at the end of this match. So, in a great match with a very, very surprise ending, Jericho caught Omega early. Well, actually, one of the first things was Omega attempted a Hurricane Rana, but Jericho countered into a Walls of Jericho. Jericho caught Omega with a sliding dropkick. Omega fought back and jumped on the guardrail. Jericho shoved him into the crowd. Jericho grabbed the camera and started filming Omega. Omega then spit water into the camera and Jericho's face. Omega broke his nose here. We don't know exactly where or when he broke the nose, but he broke his nose very early, and Cody did state, hey, Kenny worked most, if not all, of that match with a broken nose. He's like, we could have stopped the match. That's not what Kenny wanted. So Omega sent Jericho to the floor. Jericho pulled out a table and tried to block Omega's charge with it. Omega then hit a sliding dropkick into the table. Omega hit a dive onto the table, which landed on Jericho. Jim Ross noted that Jericho stood there because he didn't think Omega would hit the dive with him having the table there, which makes a lot of sense because you're like, why is he just standing there waiting for him to hit the dive? But with Jim Ross explaining on commentary, hey, it was basically like he tempted Omega. He was like, I don't think he would do it because I'm holding a table that'll hurt him too, but we'll see what happens. So I like the way that Jim Ross tried to explain why Jericho just stood there and waited for Omega to hit the dive. So going forward, Omega hit a huge double foot stomp on the top to the from the top rope to the floor on the table covering Jericho. Omega then hit a V trigger to the back of the head. Omega then hit a back suplex off the top. Omega went for another V trigger, but Jericho fought back. Jericho attempted the lion salt, but Omega got his knees up. Omega then attempted a one-winged angel, but Jericho slipped out of it. And here's the thing. This is a very big Kenny Omega thing. We've seen this in the Okada matches, and he does not like to hit a one-winged angel if he's not winning. That way, it makes that move look that much more special when he hits it in a match and then wins. Because if he hits 3 one-winged angels but doesn't win, well, that move's not that big of a deal. That's why he does the V-trigger so often. It's like, it's a knee. It could cause a finish, but most of the time it doesn't, and you know it. It's just a good way to, hinder his opponent more. So going forward, Omega attempted a powerbomb, but Jericho backdropped Omega through the table on the floor. Crashed through that damn table hard. Jericho then caught Omega with a springboard dropkick. Omega flipped over and landed on top of his head onto the apron. Omega jumped off the top rope, but Jericho caught him with a code breaker for a near fall. Omega then fought back with a snapdragon suplex. Jericho attempted the walls of Jericho, but Omega fought out. Omega went for a V-trigger, but Jericho caught him in the walls. Omega almost made it to the ropes, but Jericho pulled him back to the middle. Omega fought out of the walls of Jericho and hit a V-trigger. Jericho then went for the lion salt, but Omega caught him in a one-winged angel. Jericho countered that into a DDT. They went for this spot earlier in the match, but didn't really pull it off. Finish came when Jericho hit his Judas Effect back elbow out of nowhere for the victory. Yes, Jericho now has a out of nowhere finish, like Randy Orton. So with that, Jericho is the winner. Jericho will now move on to maybe Jacksonville, Fight for the Fallen. We don't know exactly when yet. Maybe it's All Out, because I did forget to mention that. All Out was announced for August 31st in the Sears Center, Chicago, Illinois. Tickets do go on sale June 14th. Give me 1 second, guys. Where was this in the chat? Report harassment. Okay, there we go. Whoever this person is in the live chat that keeps making a bunch of different accounts just to try and troll me, it's not going to work. YouTube's very good at filtering the chat itself and hiding what they think is inappropriate comments from showing. So just so you know. So going forward, Jericho will now be, like I said, facing Hangman for the title. After the match, Jericho grabbed a mic and said that he doesn't care what the fans think. He called the fans all marks. He said that he knows it's his time now. He told the fans to shut up. He said Chris Jericho is AEW. He said that this isn't a company for the fans, it's a company for him. Jericho said that he's the reason they're selling out buildings. He's the reason they got a TV deal. He demanded a thank you from the fans and from AEW. Then, so we're sitting there, and Jericho's just like, I want my thank you. And I hear some rumblings, like from the crowd. And I'm like, what's going on? And the crowd starts to get a little louder. And I don't notice anything at this point. And then the crowd gets a little louder. And then all of a sudden, I see Jon Moxley. Literally, once he comes all the way down to where he was most visible, every person in that place was on their feet. Going horse shit freaking bananas crazy. That crowd, that was the biggest thing. Probably. So Moxley gets into the ring, and he hits Jericho with the quote-unquote dirty deeds. And so he hits him with the dirty deeds or the underhook, whatever you want to call it. And the underhook DDT or the double arm DDT. And so he does that. And then referee Paul Turner's in the ring like, what are you doing? So he gives it to Paul Turner. Then he goes to give it to Omega, and I like this. Omega fights him off. They spill out of the ring, and they start fighting around. Anthar, I don't know where you heard that, but that's not. Unless he just announced something. So let me recap this while I also do some searching. So they're fighting all around ringside area, and then they go up to where the stage is. And they go up to where the stage is, and there's these poker chips. And so there's these poker chips there. And they start fighting on top of the poker chips. And finally, Moxley does get the best of Kenny Omega. He hits the DDT on Kenny Omega on the poker chips. Then he puts Omega on his shoulders and basically gives him a attitude adjustment off of it onto the stage. He then looks into the microphone. And the crowd's going nuts chanting for Moxley. There's like, Moxley. And looks into the camera. And, yeah. That was it. The show goes off the air with Moxley standing tall, flipping off the crowd. So, it's going to be an interesting ride, folks. It's going to be very interesting. And then, so apparently, I'm going to play this. I have not heard this audio yet, but 43 minutes ago, All Elite Wrestling posted a video of Moxley. So let's listen to it together.
One day, they will all come to my funeral just to make sure that I stay dead. But today is not that day. I'm alive! My heart is still beating and I'm breathing fresh air for the first time in a long time. My name is Jon Moxley, and I am on a mission to reclaim my soul. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks, it's about time this industry got a facelift. So make no mistake about it, this is an official declaration of war tonight to anyone who wants to get in my way and anybody who stands in AEW's way. We have a mission to knock the pillars of this industry on their ass. We ain't reading history books anymore, baby. We writing them. This is what you call a paradigm shift.
Interesting. So Cody was asked after the show, hey, is there anybody out there that you can sign now that you want to sign? He goes, well, yeah, Moxley, but we got him. So there was one person that, he wanted, and that one person is Moxley. Also, so New Japan. Okay, so New Japan recently aired a video package that most people assumed was Ambrose, and we can now confirm is Ambrose, as he posted on his Twitter he will be wrestling for New Japan. So they did a thing where there was like a Time's Up gimmick teased for New Japan, and a lot of people were like, could that be, Ambrose? So that like a biker kind of feel to it, and it looks like at Dominion. I think it's Dominion's on the 5th, June 5th. When is Dominion? Dominion 2019 is going to be on the 9th. But this says 6/5. So Moxley's going to New Japan. It was just announced 12 minutes ago on his Twitter account. He's going to New Japan on the 5th of June. Just 4 days before Dominion. Interesting. Remember, the main event for Dominion is Kazuchika Okada defending the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Chris Jericho. Now, some of you may ask, well, what's Moxley's stance within AEW? And both Cody and Tony Khan did make it known that he is full-time in AEW, and he has signed a full-time, or in that he signed a multi-year deal. Now, Tony Khan did state that he will allow Moxley to take dates for other promotions as far as indies, and he will allow him to work internationally. So that right there does not mean that AEW and New Japan have a working agreement. It just means that AEW is not going to tell their talent you can't work for New Japan. Some maybe, but Tony Khan did state if he wants to go work for somebody internationally, he will allow it. And Moxley's working for New Japan. Again, it doesn't mean that AEW and New Japan have a working agreement, because Jericho can still work for New Japan because he got that put in his contract, and Omega also got put in his contract that he can work for New Japan. Exactly. Anahat says right there, he's probably going to work dates until they get TV. Exactly. Tony Khan said, right now, why we're, slow, we're going to allow our guys to do some things. Because you can't just say, oh, we're not running shows, and you also can't work. No, they got to let him work. I think he's also wrestling, I don't know the date, but I think he's also going to be wrestling Pentagon for NEW coming up soon. But yeah, Jon Moxley is heading to New Japan Pro Wrestling. It should be interesting. So we'll see how it all goes. But that was AEW's Double or Nothing. We did learn, like I said, we did learn that Moxley has signed a deal, multi-year deal with a company. I would assume it's at least exclusive in the States, where he can't work for any other company that they don't agree with. And we'll go from there. The next show they do have is Fyter Fest, which the main event was supposed to be Kenny and the Bucks taking on the Lucha Bros and Pac, but with Pac not being around, we'll see how that goes. So, yeah, I think the match is going to be Juice versus Mox. Joe Decker says, Tim, did you see Omega interview? Which Omega interview? Omega interview from when? Did he just do one today? Because if he just did one today, then no. Because I was basically traveling all day. I have not really seen anything today because I had a 6, well, actually it went 7 because there was a lot of traffic and multiple accidents that slowed down the traffic. 7 hour actually drive from Vegas to my home. But regardless, again, that was Double or Nothing. The first ever AEW show. It was a great show. And so with that, Joe Decker, is it a YouTube video? Is it on Twitter? YouTube won't allow you to put the link, but if you tell me where, I can probably find it. But with that, I want to say thank you guys for joining me here live to talk about AEW Double or Nothing. I'm sorry that the review wasn't last night after the show. Again, things out of our what's the word I'm looking for? Control made it kind of not possible. And so with that, we'll be live again tomorrow following Monday Night Raw. News videos will commence as normal starting tomorrow as far as news coming out on a more regular basis than they did over these last couple of days. Have a great night. And again, see you live tomorrow after Monday Night Raw.